Where are we going?
London.
Why are we going to London?
We're going to see the Harry Potter play.
Yeah, yeah. When are we going to see that?
Tomorrow. John bought me tickets to the play for my birthday, and I had basically resigned myself to the fact that I was never going to see it because the tickets are so hard to get and so expensive. They're so expensive they've been debated in the UK Parliament because they were being sold on the black market or on the black market?
Secondary ticketing.
For like thousands of pounds. And I was also being very up myself and being like, I will never do that, because when J.K. Rowling was writing the Harry Potter books, she was like, I won't continue the story, and then she's continued the story with the films and the play, and the play felt like a very, I'm on my soapbox, elitist thing that unless you were rich or had a lot of time on your hands, you were never going to be able to see. And then John got me tickets, and all of my opinions, they haven't really changed, but I'm very excited.
Cool. I'm glad I could change your opinions and yet also not change them. What's it about?
Well, actually, I don't really know what it's about, because I've been avoiding spoilers and anything. Like I didn't want to read the book because they brought the script out as a book. Because I was being all up myself, and I'm not gonna indulge in this new Harry Potter thing. But I think it works well in my favour, because when John and I went to see Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them last year, I'd completely refused to find anything out about it, and as a result I think I enjoyed it a lot more than I would have done if I'd done any research beforehand. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. So, expectations, scale of 1 to 10?
I've heard very, very good things about it, so I'm expecting it to be quite good.
That's not a number between 1 and 10?
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
And I've forgotten my Deathly Hallows symbol.
Oh, they're gonna see that.
They're gonna be like, you're not a true believer.
Not a true believer.
No.
Fraud. You're a fraud, Harry.
We are walking to the tube station, and then we're going to go to the Palace Theatre in Shaftesbury Avenue for, oh my god, what? Right, you know in book 7 when they're at the wedding and all the Death Eaters come and they apparate somewhere?
Yeah, is it Shaftesbury Avenue?
It's Shaftesbury Avenue.
Let's go to the cafe in Shaftesbury
My
Avenue.
mind has been blown. So we're going there. I have seen people on social media who've gone, and they will like tweet a picture of the stage, and then they'll say hashtag keep the secret. So there's obviously something, like they obviously say something that is like, please don't give any of this away. So anyway, we're gonna hopefully have breakfast at Leon first, because there's no Leon's in Bristol, and that is like my favourite place to have breakfast. Although we might be a bit late because it is nearly 11.
Hey, let's apparate.
Please don't fall into the road. Anyway, we will see you in Shaftesbury Avenue.
Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Parts 1 and 2. Based on an original news story by J.K. Rowling, Jack Thorne and John Tiffany, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is a new play by Jack Thorne. It is the 8th story in the Harry Potter series and the first official Harry Potter story to be presented on stage. It was always difficult being Harry Potter, and it isn't much easier now that he is an overworked employee of the Ministry of Magic, a husband and father of 3 school-aged children. While Harry grapples with a past that refuses to stay where it belongs, his youngest son Albus must struggle with the weight of a family legacy he never wanted. As past and present fuse ominously, both father and son learn the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes, darkness comes from unexpected places. We are in the interval of part 1 of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. This theatre is one of the most gorgeous theatres I've ever been in. It's honestly so pretty. And when you buy the programme for the play, you get like all this little history about the theatre, and like it was built in 1891, and this is where Jesus Christ Superstar premiered, which is like one of my favourite ever musicals. It's just the most
appropriate setting I can think of for this play. Yeah, apparently the theatre is haunted.
By Ivan Novello.
And Anna Pavlova, and one of the previous owners, and an unknown ballerina. The play itself is so good. Some of the casting choices have been, I wasn't happy about them at first, but John pointed out to me that there are certain things that J.K. Rowling never actually specified, which has made me happier about the casting choices. I won't say more than that in case you ever watch it.
I really like all the cloaks.
Yeah, they do like this cloak squishy thing which they integrate into the set changes on stage. And also, like, we can't figure out if some of the decoration on the stage, like there's a dragon lamp and stuff, we don't know if that's stuff that was just there and that the theatre had already, or if they've built that into the set. Like, it's quite hard to tell where the Harry Potter-ness begins. John managed to buy us really good seats. We're 5 rows from the back, from the front in the stalls. Any further forward and we would have had the lip of the stage like blocking our view, so we can see everything. More thoughts later. We are in the gap between 1 and 2 and I've decided I want to get the book. So we're going to go into Foyles, and these guys are on fire with their marketing. I've just got back into the car after the play. We probably finished about an hour ago because the car was parked a long ways out of central London. And John's going to ask me some questions now so I don't just ramble.
How was the play?
It was really good. There were bits that blew me away. I was a bit underwhelmed by the ending, but haven't quite figured out why yet.
I enjoyed the ending. Yeah. I was not underwhelmed by it. I was perfectly whelmed.
Good. There's a bit where...
No spoilers.
No spoilers. There was a bit where I started being a bit like, can this move on now? I felt like they were all sort of standing on the stage and it was a little bit slow, although John did point out that they had just acted for like 6 hours and had to have a massive break in the middle of it, and then they probably like rehearse and they do it every night, like, so the fact that the actors are probably quite tired probably contributed to that, but otherwise the rest of it I really enjoyed.
Favourite, I want to say like favourite character, but I don't think you can answer that without spoiling.
I don't think it's a spoiler.
Okay.
If you've not, like, this character is in the very last chapter of the last book, and it is Draco Malfoy's son. I don't think that's a spoiler.
He was good though. I liked him.
He was very good. He's very good in the play. He was my favourite as well. But I also really liked Ron.
Ron was fun.
Harry really irritated me, but Harry has always irritated me.
Harry's just an idiot.
For somebody who loves Harry Potter as much as I do, I have a remarkable amount of dislike for the main character. I don't like Harry very much.
What was your favourite thing in general about the entire production?
The amount of effort that went into the special effects, especially the magic. Like, you think, how the hell are they going to actually show magic on stage? And it is basically seamless. And the bits where you can see how it's happening sort of are quite good. Like, they make it, I think they were probably like, we can't hide this entirely, so we're going to make it slightly comical, and it works really well. To
quote a part of the play, some of their greatest weaknesses in some of the special effects almost made them better.
Yeah.
I really liked how, I mean, if you're kind of thinking about going to see the play, just imagine all of the spells and all of the books and all of the magic. Just thinking, how would they do that? Like everything, it's not really just the spells, but the potions, the like things like how they get around and how that all works. And
like a lot of the stuff, a lot of it happens sort of on the edge of your vision, so you don't actually see it, but the absence, no, it's not even that, you don't even see it, but there are some bits where they force you to use your imagination in a way that makes you find it impossible to believe that that thing isn't there. Does that make sense?
Good use of negative space.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know how they do it, I feel like they've got some kind of like super fast conveyor belt under the stage or something. I just don't understand.
They apparate great. That is it. Like the characters walk off the stage and then they're like walking in on the other side of the stage immediately. Don't know how it happens. It takes a moment for you to think, wow, wait, that was weird. They just walked off that way.
Very, very simple magic.
Yeah.
And yet, mind-blowing, because you only realise it a few moments later, like, hold on a moment.
Yeah.
What was your least favourite thing?
There were a couple of continuity errors that I wasn't happy about. I've already said I wasn't so sure about the ending. And there was also a girl slightly further along us who was going on about how she'd been to see the play every week since it opened and was talking about how she was going to see it every week for the next, like, however many months. And she was talking, and I've managed to very successfully avoid spoilers for this. And it was almost, I don't think she really gave anything away, but I did hear somebody say to her, "Can you stop talking, please?" Because she was like talking about things that were on the edge of being a spoiler, and it would have been really gutting if I'd managed to go that far and
pay for those seats
and then have a spoiler right on the cusp of seeing it.
It's bothering me. She was announcing to the wider room.
And yeah, there were a couple of continuity errors.
No house points.
Yeah, I wasn't very... I'd like to discuss it with other people who've seen it to figure out if it's just us having the same thought. The other thing is John and I bought the book in the break between the two parts, so now we can go and check anything, which is quite nice. There's a fox.
It's an out of focus fox.
So, following the fox, I've just thought of another thing that irritated
fox
me.
and or animagus, we do not know.
Well, we do not. Another thing that I did find quite irritating, there were two more things. There's something about Hermione that is quite unexpected, and it's jarring the first time you see it, if you're not expecting it, in a way that kind of shocked me. And then John pointed out that this thing about her, JK had never actually specified in the books that this was or wasn't a thing. So that is entirely open to interpretation, and the way that I interpreted it, and probably the majority of the population interpreted it, was the same. So to have that conception shattered completely was quite odd, but it grows on you, and by the end of it I was completely on board with it, and I was sort of like ashamed of myself almost for having just been like, yeah, that's a thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like it shines a light on your own assumptions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really jarring way. And I think it caused a lot of controversy at the beginning. Although I don't know how I managed to avoid that as a spoiler. And then the other thing that really does irritate me, and I think this is again my own personal issues about the JK writing something else and it being a play that's quite exclusive and not open to everybody, is the same reason why I never really liked the films that much, because your imagination isn't able to expand beyond the bounds of what you're being shown as much. Whereas when you read a book, everything is open to your interpretation, whether it's certain things about Hermione, or whether it's how a spell looks, or even whether it's how you say Voldemort or Voldemort, because that's how they say it in the play, Voldemort, and I am not on board with that.
I am, because it's like Voldemort, Pottermore, Voldemort, Pottermore.
No, I'm not on board with it. I would have been if I hadn't spent hours listening to Stephen Fry saying Voldemort in the audiobooks, which JK
Stephen
had
Fry.
a hand in.
Stephen Fry.
Stephen. So that's something that I'm still struggling with, because I felt like there is no way that you can be as rich in detail in a visual thing as you can be when you allow somebody to unleash their imagination on it. So
They tried pretty hard.
Yeah, they did pretty well, but this is how I think I'm always going to be a book first kind of person. Like, that's why I stopped watching Game of Thrones as well. Like, I didn't enjoy the way that was being, I preferred my imagination version.
Do you reckon they could have had more characters in it?
Yeah, I do. There are certain characters in it, like teachers at Hogwarts, or even just family members that you would expect. They've never been missed out in anything else, and you would expect to see them, and you don't. Whether that's because of budget constraints, or they didn't want a cast that was like 300 people large or whatever, but I did feel like the format that has been chosen to tell the story limits that, and I would have liked to have seen more of the characters.
I reckon they probably did write some character arcs for some of the ones that were missing, and they kind of realised they weren't all kind of core or central to the main story.
Yeah, I guess that's why
I mean, they already cut out a lot just to get it down to 2 productions worth, right?
I guess that's like, whenever you speak to people about what their favourite book is, a lot of people say they hate Order of the Phoenix because it's so long. Whereas I love that about it. Like, after Order of the Phoenix, after all of the books were smaller than it, I was disappointed because I was like, that makes the story shorter and less detail rich, which I really love. Like, the longer a book is, the happier I am.
You know what I really like about, there's a lot of things they referenced in the play that are like common fan gripes and stuff, and that was one of them. There was a moment when Harry was like, oh yeah, my 4th year. That was quite long and
5th year.
Confused and
my owl year. Yeah, that's true.
What was your favourite moment?
Earlier on, I think when we were filming, we said we weren't sure where sort of the set stopped and the theatre started, because there were like lamps that we weren't sure which they were part of. And there is a part in the play where you discover that the whole theatre is basically the set, which was mind-blowing. That's definitely my highlight. I can't say any more than that without giving anything away.
I had to reread the entire scene from the book.
Because he was so, like, moving around.
My brain just could not fathom. It was like, I realised that there were words being said by people on stage, but my brain just was so amazed by everything that was happening that just none of it went in.
Yeah.
Overall, there was a lot of them. It was an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
The scary bits were really scary.
Yeah.
The sad bits were really sad.
Yeah.
The happy bits were really happy, and like there were some funny bits as well that I really liked too.
Would you go see it again?
Totes.
Yeah.
But maybe once I've paid off the mortgage.
Mortgage for the tickets.
Was there anything that you were not expecting?
Yeah, actually. And I've no idea how I'm going to say this without spoilers. It's a really fascinating, it's something I've literally never considered. Like, what happened if Voldemort didn't get defeated? And you get you are made to think about that. And I wasn't expecting that, and I think that's probably something that I'm going to be thinking about for a while.
I really, really liked that bit too. And I really loved the detail about how you normalise all the, like, how that world works. It's fascinating. There's a lot of
yeah, there was a lot of, like, even in the programme, if you buy the programme, it's got a piece written by a psychologist about how, like, Harry and Voldemort had relatively similar upbringings, where they were both orphans and they both grew up in a loveless home as children until they went to Hogwarts, and how, although they had relatively similar large periods of time, they ended up on a different path. I
guess that's a nice segue into Lumos. Was unexpected for me, as
really
like a totally unrelated to the play thing.
So Lumos is a charity that I think JK runs, it's
founded.
Yeah, and it basically concentrates on shutting down poorly run, I think in general all orphanages, because the way to bring children up is not in a home full of other children who have no love and family relationships and those ties that you get when you grow up in a family. So trying to help people go out into communities and get care in a more healthy way than in an orphanage. And that was really, I don't know, well, I've now taken over from you. That's what the orphanage is. That's what Lumos is. Tell me more.
Oh, I just thought that was really fascinating. I just didn't know that was a thing that she'd done. Makes me feel a lot happier about the ticket prices.
Yeah. How much of a proportion of the ticket price goes to Lumos, do we know?
We can look it up.
I'm going to see if it's in here. And then one more thing that I would like to say is I have got swag.
Show me your swag.
No, I'll do it in a better light. but I got swag. This is my favourite. A Hufflepuff necklace.
Hufflepuff.
Look at the badger, look at the badger. Do you recommend people go see it?
Yes. It's the kind of thing that's really hard to justify splashing out some cash on travelling to London and going to see it and all the tickets, and it's quite expensive at the bar and all of that.
Can't tell me the ticket price because it was a birthday present, so that's why we haven't specifically said anything about that.
I think it would be a really nice thing if you know someone who's really into Harry Potter and is the kind of person like Corey where they're just thinking, oh, it's probably something that I may never ever go to see. Then maybe club together with some friends or family when it comes to birthday, Christmas, and get them a ticket as a present, because that could be a really nice thing to do, and it's awesome.
How did you get the ticket? Because it can be quite hard to get hold of.
I just check the website on a regular basis every 2-3 months, and I think I just got a bit lucky because I checked it not that many months ago, and the only 2 tickets I could easily find that were this year on the same day next to each other was today, which is August, and it was good timing, and it was a day that we were all free.
I still feel like my mind hasn't been changed. I am still quite cross about the fact that it's a play, but I did really enjoy it, and I wouldn't have said no to tickets. And I don't know if that makes me a hypocrite or not, but I don't know.
Do you think the world is a better off place for having the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them movie in it?
Yeah.
Because you had reservations about that.
Oh my god, I was.
And it's been a few months.
I am more angry about the play than I am about the film, because films are accessible to most people, whereas this is not. But I was very, like, I really took it to heart that when she said she wasn't gonna write any more books, she wasn't gonna write any more books. So when I read the 7th book, it was like I was 17, I was 18, I was just about to go to university. It was like the end of my childhood. So I really found it very difficult to open that door again, if that makes sense. And I guess I'm still in the process of being open to the door. Like, I realise people are allowed to change their minds, and I also realise that, like, if you look at The Lord of the Rings, that if Tolkien hadn't carried on writing for his whole life about that, we wouldn't have ended up with this massive, rich body of work that he created, and there's nothing to say that she's not allowed to do that as well. Fantastic Beasts, I refused to find out anything about it, and then we decided on a whim that we were going to go. We'd heard good reviews, and John and I were at a loose end in Bristol one night, and we went, and I enjoyed it so much I went and saw it 3 times. So yes, I think the world is a better place for that. And I think partly I loved it so much because it wasn't trying to continue the story. It was one of those adding to the magical world of Harry Potter that I loved about it so much. And Eddie Redmayne is awesome.
Same question, but with the play. Do you think the world and the development of the extended Harry Potter universe is better off for having this play existing?
I think it's too soon to ask me that. I haven't quite figured out how I feel about the storyline. Like, there's a lot of stuff, like, I've read some fan fiction, and if I don't like the fan fiction, I can dismiss it, because I'm like, it's not canon, it's not part of the Harry Potter universe officially. Whereas with this, I now have to add this to my story of Harry Potter in my head, and I'm not sure where that sits with me quite yet, because it's so different to the old format that we follow in Harry Potter, where it's like a school year and he defeats Voldemort or something, you know, like, I don't know. So I haven't quite figured out if it's better off. I want something to happen to make it more accessible to people, whether the play goes on tour or whether they keep on doing it for the next 100 years so that everybody can see it, or if they reduce ticket prices or something. The work that they do for charity, which I didn't really know about that much, I'm going to find more out about, and I think that is good. Anything that makes money for other people as well is good in my books, because I know there's a lot of things that are purely entertainment with no charitable purpose.
Cool. I feel like my feeling is I was ambivalent I wasn't that bothered that she was writing more stuff. But having seen this and having seen the film, Fantastic Beasts, I'm really excited for the potential future development of the universe, because I think it's really rich and there's a lot more that can be done when you really think through the details of it in terms of world building and like the other nations and like there's so much that you could do to find out. Like, I'd love to know more about Bo-Baton and Durmstrang and just how it all works.
Yeah. The other thing that we haven't talked about really, I will put some footage in now, is that just by the theatre is a gallery where the company, I think it's Miramina or Mina Mila or something, I'll put a thing on the screen here, where they did all the graphics, like all the graphical design for like the newspapers and like all the Weasley suites and like pretty much everything in the films. And it's free to go in, and they just gave us a postcard when we were waiting in the queue. I'd never heard about it, I hadn't thought about it, and we went in, and we only went in because we got to the theatre half an hour early for the second part, and we wanted to go occupy ourselves, and actually I could have spent a lot more than half an hour in there.
I would have
really good.
Very happily spent an hour in that place. It was incredible.
Like, it's the kind of thing where if you found yourself on Shaftesbury Avenue with an hour to kill, you would go in and just explore more of the stuff in detail. Like they've got those newspapers which you see for not even half a second on the screen when they're like falling into place in the films and then zooming through them. And they've actually designed all that stuff, and you can buy it and it's printed, and they've got like, if I ever have a baby, I am getting the alphabet sampler that Harry has in his room as a nursery. Like, they actually designed that. It is, you're right, like the development of the richness is yeah, I think my problems with it are more personal to me and my issues with growing up than actually.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Hey! Anyway, we need to go back to Bristol, and we will no doubt have more thoughts on this, but I think I'm going to have to edit this and make it not too long somehow, so.
Okay, final important question. Out of 10, we're going to give it?
I'm going to give it a 9.
I was going to say 9 as well.
Yeah.
I think 9 out of 10. Could be better, but could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
And I think it was pretty good. Pretty fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye.
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 Bye.